So I'm starting the streaming. So if you, Debbie, you want to do the date and all that stuff, or you want me to do it?
No, I'll do the date.
Okay.
All right, this is Bronx Community Board 11's Parks Committee. I'm Deborah Kowalik, co-chair. Today is March 14th, 2024. In attendance of the committee, we also have Joe Thompson here. And online, we have Lisa Soto. Is that the only one that's on committee?
Dwayne's there too.
Yeah, Dwayne.
Okay, I see him now. Yeah, and Dwayne Williams is also online, and they're committee members. We also have a couple of people from Parks Department. I can't see their names. Cortez and Matt Dorian. Hold on, let me stop sharing this. Okay. All right. One of the two from Parks Department. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, how are you, everybody? My name is Juan Cortez, a parks manager in District 11 and District 12.
Thank you.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey.
And the Parks Committee for Community Board 11. This is Matt Dorn. I'm the regional manager for the Parks Department.
Okay. Being we don't really have much of we don't have an agenda listed here today. Is there any updates for any of the concerns that we did reach out to you prior about?
So first thing, if I could just give you the organizational breakdown and changes within the Parks Department over the last few months. I'm no longer the direct point of contact for the Parks Department. I do oversee half of the borough of the Bronx, which does include your community board and another 5 others, plus some large sort of wings of our agency and all of fleet for the whole agency for the borough. So there's another regional manager that oversees the other half of the borough that pretty much encompasses everything we do for the Bronx. But I'm still here for all the community boards that are underneath me indirectly. Juan Cortez, who is on this meeting, is the newly appointed park manager for all of the parks within your community board, including Pelham Parkway and all the playgrounds and all the other ones that come up in meetings going forward. He is not the manager for Bronx Park. So Bronx Park now has an administrator. And within our agency, we call that District 14, which is an administrator that oversees all Bronx River parks from the Yonkers border all the way down to the East River. So for your community board, that would be Bronx Park, the large zone where you have Brady and Ben Abrams playgrounds. And that whole park in there, that's one of the flagship parks for the whole borough. And then north of Pelham Parkway, you have we call it Bronx Park Zone 2, which has the Waring Playground area that goes all the way up to Allerton. And I believe Community Board 12, and I don't know the exact boundaries, goes a little bit above Allerton up to about Burke Avenue, if I'm correct. So those parks in Bronx Park would be Anthony Martinez, the Bronx River administrator. He's not on this, but if there's ever any agenda items that are specific to those areas, I'll make sure that he's aware of those and he can join these meetings to answer any questions and updates that you guys have. For the purposes of this meeting, as I introduce Juan, and I can answer any questions if anybody has them specific to any of the areas, because all the stuff I've spoken about is under me.
Thank you. Juan, do you want to add anything?
No, just I'm more than happy to work with all of you. All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, Joe, is there anything you want to bring up?
No, I'd like to know if there's been anything new with Zimmerman. That's one thing.
Yeah, we know Zimmer. Yeah, we know Zimmerman's gonna be brought up today. We're just waiting for Janice. But is there anything new of Zimmerman? I know we got the email the other day, that the plans and stuff, trying to remember the wording of it, that the plans and stuff were not actually including the bathroom, which I know is Janice's big thorn there, is that they have to do the bathroom too. And I
Right.
do know, I do know, I remember her mentioning that Riley had, was helping put in for some of the funding for the bathroom there. Am I correct
That's
with that?
correct.
Okay.
So do you want me to wait for the Zimmerman update?
Yeah,
Just a short period of time.
yeah, if you can give, yeah, if
15
you,
minutes, so.
if you can just give a little synopsis and don't mind repeating it when she shows up. I mean,
Yeah, it's real simple. The first phase of that capital project has been started. If we did not do it just because we didn't fund the bathroom, when we have the money, we sort of have to use it, or else it's going to be lost or used for other projects for the agency and sometimes outside of the agency. So we started it. We have gotten through the design portion of that project, and I believe that project is in the procurement stage. So what that means is if you take a full capital project and you look at it in years, each one takes approximately 3 years and has 3 stages. The first year and the first stage is design. The second year, the second stage is procurement, and that's when it goes through the whole Public Design Commission. It goes out to bid. A bid is awarded. The contractor gets licensed by the city to do all the work, and all that paperwork is being done behind the scenes to allow the contractor to start. A start date is then finally established. And then as soon as the start date is established, that's the construction phase. And that's the final stage. And that we usually give contractors 1 year for that. So we're in the middle of the 3 stages in the first part of Zimmerman. We had a meeting with Councilmember Riley earlier this week, and he did state that he is intending to make funding the public restrooms at Zimmerman a priority from his office. That's all I could speak to on that, because that's coming out of his office. So,
all right, thank you. I know I mentioned in last month's meeting about I don't know, I remember seeing an article of it, so I don't remember the exact wording of it, but I'm gonna just call it the low level lighting. It's lighting that's on the pole that's below the tree level, so it illuminates pathways brighter. I can show you.
it's usually path lighting within parks.
Yeah. So do you want to see the picture I'm talking about or not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you could share your screen, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see what I'm showing or no?
It's hard to, but I think so. If you could point your cursor to it, right? Okay,
So I'm referring to this lighting here.
Right.
This picture is taken over at Marshalloo.
okay, sure.
So the lighting is different than as I pull back, you see the lighting's
Yep.
different than that's over the roadway.
Right.
So we would like to have more of that type of lighting on Pelham Parkway.
Okay.
And on Bronx Park East.
So Parks Department lighting, all this lighting that's within our parks is actually DOT lighting.
Okay, I did bring it up to DOT too. I'm just covering all bases.
Yep. So all park lighting, all path lighting in parks is DOT lighting.
Okay.
They are responsible for the poles, the lights, the electrical feeds that go from pole to power all the lights, and those usually come sourced out at a street somewhere and go through the park. So this is consistent with all parks. If you want to increase lighting and you want to increase the number of poles, that would be a request that DOT would do the installation with, and we would just work with them in doing it. Any lighting beyond that is usually part of a capital process where they're redoing the whole section of the park and they're going to install more lighting as part of a larger project. So I'll just fill you in on the process. At once a month, we do in all of our parks, we do a light outage report. And so we'll go through and look at all the poles. They all have numbers and locations. And in every park, those lights that are out then go on the light outage request, the light outage report, and we send that over to DOT.
Okay.
Additional lights would need to be jointly agreed upon, and usually DOT does that.
Right. So that's why I'm bringing it up to you guys at Parks, and I also brought it up to them at in transportation to DOT, because at last month's DOT meeting, we actually had Mr. Perez at the meeting. So Janice is here.
Well, I will say, Janice, you said Janice, no, I'm saying Janice, Debbie, regarding the lighting issue, I bought up the lights that are out on the Bronx River Parkway for a significant stretch between 3 exits. I bought it up in October.
Yeah, we
They're still out, and they're still out.
Yeah.
It's pitch black.
No,
The Bronx River onto Pelham Parkway, pitch black.
I drive through there. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm driving through there at dark 30. And we did bring it up to Mr. Perez at the transportation meeting. I know you was not on that meeting earlier in the month, but we did bring it up to him, even though that part is under state. We did make sure he was aware of it.
The whole Bronx River is under state, or just the exit?
The exits and the exits and the roadway.
The whole road, the whole Bronx River Parkway is under the state, really?
Yeah, that's state DOT.
So then, in all the emails back and forth, why didn't they just say that?
I don't know.
Anyway, I know people like state DOT. I could easily call them. I didn't know that was the issue.
Yeah, it's state DOT.
Unbelievable. Okay, sorry, Matt. I know this had nothing to do with you, but just wanted to bring that up.
No problem. I mean, we're well aware of many lighting requests in parks all over the place, but we do have to defer that to city DOT because they're the ones that power and manage all of the light poles. So
Okay.
we do reports and send it to them on a monthly basis.
Matt, you want to give a quick recap again now that Janice is here so she can hear about Zimmerman?
Sure. The Zimmerman first phase construction project is underway. It does not include a public restrooms, but it has gone forward through the design phase and is in the second phase of a 3-part capital project. capital project. So the first phase is design, second phase is procurement. That's where this Zimmerman project is, and the third phase is construction. So we're in the middle. We're about halfway through, little less than halfway through. We had a meeting with Councilmember Riley's office. I guess they changed district lines, because I do recall this was Oswald Felice's district. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Riley
Riley,
did change.
yeah. So we had a meeting with Councilmember Riley's and his office earlier this week, and they did state that one of their highest priorities with Parks Capital Projects was to fund the Zimmerman bathroom project. So you could look for that to be funded through Councilmember Riley. I can't say any more to that because, you know, that information came directly out of his office. But I was in the meeting, and so was Juan.
Are we gonna be able to see the bathroom design before you go into construction?
Probably. I mean, it would, I imagine that it would be like all capital projects, that there would be, unless it's a straightforward project where there aren't any design options, which it could be, because a public bathroom design is pretty straightforward depending on how much money is going to be there. But you could by all means request that with Kat, who's the capital director for the Bronx and the Parks Commissioner's office. So
With who?
With Kat?
Who's
that would be, your input would be at the beginning of the project or during the design phase, the first phase of it.
What's the person's name?
What's the person's name?
I don't know
Cat?
who Cat is. Who's Cat? What's Cat's
Cat.
real name? Excuse me? The whole name.
Catherine Barome.
Thank you. Does she have a phone number?
I don't have her phone number offhand, but she is the capital projects manager for the Bronx, and she works in Commissioner Aponte's office. So if you just get in touch with Commissioner Aponte's office, you'll be able to get to her.
Mhm.
And I'm sure Jeremy has those numbers for you. I don't have them on hand.
So how long do you think the Zimmerman project will take?
Like all parks capital projects, I imagine it's going to be a 3-year, 3-phase timeline for the project: design, procurement, and construction.
Sounds like longer.
In my experience, and I'm not projecting any timeline, more straightforward bathroom projects take shorter, because there's not as many design options that you could go through. It's a building with public restrooms, and only if you have this much money, it's only going to go so far with the current capital improvement construction market. And so we've been really, when you have to install a water fountain, there's not too much design stuff. That we've been doing some of these projects in 12 weeks. Fitness equipment, if you know what you want to put there, that ends up being a lot shorter. So it's the larger playground designs where you have a much bigger area with lots of options to be able to do this, that, and whatnot. Those are the ones that usually take the longest. So just
And-
my experience, 18 years of experience.
Would this be, if we get the funding for the bathroom, would it have to go out for procurement for a new bid for a new contractor, or would it just be added to the contract that's already doing the playground?
I can't answer that. That's a good question. I don't know, but that has both of those scenarios have happened in the past, where you have capital projects that are very close together, yet separate contractors, but we have done add-ons and combined capital projects. in the past. So I don't know. That would be our capital team would determine that.
Gotcha.
It makes the most sense if you could add on, but the
Yeah.
award winner for a playground upgrade and a playground redesign might not have the capacity to do a building project with plumbers and having to install connections to the all the utility hookups and stuff like that. So there's different aspects to the capital project that are different for buildings and playgrounds.
That makes sense. Okay.
But that was a good question.
A question. Are you, have you started working on the ball fields, the baseball fields in your area? The Little League fields?
The grooming of them?
Yes.
Yes, we are. We just started this month. So we're doing fields. We have over 90 fields in the entire borough of the Bronx. And so we're working in other areas, but you will see us come to work on the areas within the district, especially over in Bronx Park. The weather is extremely mild right now, so everybody's getting antsy for spring. But some of our deliveries and our planning is based off of the calendar year, so it's still March 14th, and we get clay deliveries that don't get here till usually the beginning of March. And from one year to the next, we could have snow this time of year, or it could be 70 degrees like it was today. So a lot of our planning goes by the calendar and not the weather outside. But yes, I can confirm that in the borough, we have started to mobilize and groom and get ball fields ready for the playing season.
Which is why you start to slip and say May because of the 70-degree
Yeah,
weather.
I know. It feels like it's May, doesn't it?
On a separate note, were you closing the parks at night? Has that been an issue? Has there been any issues lately with closing the parks at night?
Well, we are still attempting to close the parks at night. With the current situation that the city is in, we have staff shortages at every level within Parks Department, and we're not able to fill them currently right now. We do have a seasonal plan that we are able to go through, but it's still not going to put us at the level with personnel that we'd like to have. And so we have had to modify our park closures and almost reduce them by 50% across the whole borough. And so they're going on a rotational route. And so you might see a park get locked up one night and then the next night it won't get locked up. And it also depends on our staffing on a day-to-day basis, because staff do take vacations this time of year because we urge them to this time of year as to hold off from taking them during our busy season. So this is that time of year. We also get call outs. We also get people that move on, and then we have 6 months usually before we can fill it. It's just, that's the way the process is within government. It takes forever.
Right. And how about trash collection within the parks?
Well, that's still will be one of our highest priorities, is cleaning up and getting all that litter out of the parks. We're hoping to not be as affected by it by staff shortages going into this year, but you're going to see delays in picking it up. And we're trying to overcome issues with staff, but at the same time, we have to have Packers garbage trucks to do all this. And the fiscal situation has kept us from upgrading our fleet and buying new garbage trucks. So we're seeing an increase amount of time that these trucks are out of service and then go back into service. So all this stuff directly impacts how we could remove trash from parks, but you know, we're optimistic and we hope to be able to do it at a level that's acceptable for the communities.
So how can the board help with requesting support for the funding for the local parks? You know, to make sure that we don't have a lapse in these services.
It's just lobbying your council members to push for funding through the city budget to parks and for I guess it would be their OTPS budgets to be able to sort of allocate that money for parks upgrades,
Okay.
particularly fleet.
Are you hiring any seasonal workers that might be able to help out with the cleaning of the parks?
Yeah, we are. We're hiring well over 100 this year, but that's for the whole borough. That's just going to be people that will go directly out into park districts. That doesn't include PEP officers and lifeguards for the beach and pools.
And you're still foreseeing a shortage with the lifeguards?
I don't know the numbers, but I have been in a couple of meetings where they said that it is going to be a lot better than last year. So the numbers where we are with number of lifeguards that are being tested and who have qualified and who have put in applications of interest for seasonal work with us is way higher as of right now this year than it was at the same time last year. So
That's good. That's good news.
that's good. Yeah, that's a good report. I can tell back. I don't have exact figures, but that's what I was told.
Okay.
That's good.
But we adjusted last year, and so even though we might have been at 50%, what we would do is we would just section off pools and close an area of the pool and only opened 50% of the water. And so as long as we kept everybody in that area that was fully staffed at the ratio that we had to have for lifeguards, we were able to provide that pool. So we didn't have to close any pools down in the Bronx. The only thing we did is we adjusted the amount of area to keep that area open depending on the number of lifeguards that we had.
It's good.
So the applications for applying, are you guys participating in like job fairs, or are they online, or how?
All of that.
All the above?
Yep.
Okay. Dwayne, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I had a question for Matt. Matt, just wanted to find out if you had an update on the bathroom that was out of service for some time at the park located at Eastchester and Gun Hill Road.
Do you know the name of it, the park? I'm trying to
That's the
picture the
one across the
location.
street from Holy Rosary?
Yeah, that's correct.
Eastchester?
And-
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's up in Parks District 12.
Oh, that-
Yeah. I don't.
That's Parks
It's-
District 12?
Yep. That's Community Board 12 right there too. Yeah. I don't have an update. If it was closed, most likely it was for plumbing or vandalizing some feature in one of the men's or bathrooms. And
Oh, wait.
a lot of times you'll find that maybe the men's will be closed, but the women's will be open if there was some vandalism that was just in one of the two.
in this case, they were both closed.
Then it was probably a plumbing issue. Most plumbing issues we could fix within a week. So I would check back. There should have been signs that said that it was closed due to something.
It just said out of service.
Okay.
Matt,
Most likely plumbing.
Matt, yeah, I was just being directed to look at a map we have in our office. There's 3 particular parks in that the little trifecta area over there.
Yeah.
Two of them are in 11 and one's in 12. So,
Angelo Campanaro Playground.
Right.
Correct, yes.
Angelo Campanaro.
So Angela Campanaro Playground has the restrooms, and the other side of the road, Eastchester, it has the basketball courts and handball courts. That's all. Both of those properties are considered Angelo Campanaro Playground. The other side, the north side of Gun Hill Road, that's called Callahan Triangle or something. That's the same area.
our map is showing that the one that's in 12 is more of a. Oh, you gotta make this brighter.
Yeah, that one is.
Triangle is 12, but the one that
Yeah,
Dwayne is talking about is Angelo Campanaro Playground.
right, and that's 11.
That would be in Community Board 11, but it's in Parks District 12. So that's all. That's all. Yep. Sorry. Parks District, which I associate with, and what Juan will associate with, because those are our borders, are very close to Community Board lines. Until recently, when some of these lines changed, they were almost identical to Community Board lines, except for little deviations here and there throughout the borough.
Okay.
But for the most part, like 90 to 95% of a Community Board area versus a Parks District area are the same.
Okay.
That's good.
What's the situation with the renovation at Parkside Holidays with their park? What's this, when does that begin? Hello?
Could you be more specific to the renovation?
It's the infrastructure groundwater.
Hmm.
It was supposed to September and then it didn't for some reason.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the project. It didn't
Resurfacing-
start yet.
It might have just started. It was supposed to start in September and for some
Right.
reason it didn't. I think it's just resurfacing the court to put the new infrastructure, the groundwater infrastructure in.
Yeah, I don't have information or updates on that other than it's not a capital project. It is, like Diane was saying, it's a green infrastructure project. It's to reduce the amount of water going into the sewer lines, into our combined sewer systems. So that's by changing some of the surfaces within the park and putting some gardens in, I think, or maybe even putting in some dry wells or retention tanks in there. But those projects usually go in, they're in and out. They're funded through DEP. And they don't take not too much longer than, say, 4 to 6 months. It's not like a capital project where it could be 3 years.
Okay. Janice, was there anything else?
No, good.
Okay. Lisa. Is there anything you would like to ask of any specific park or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right, so I guess gallery session then? Gallery session?
Were you at something?
Yeah, I have some questions for Matt. The first and foremost is the request from all the basketball players, moms, dads, kids. When will the water be turned on in the parks? For the water fountains?
We've started it,
Okay, great.
but it takes a while because we only have 4 or 5 plumbers for the agency for the whole borough. And so they're just cycling through all the areas. So
Okay, so then I'll
we
go
have
through
to
all.
really monitor the weather this time of year. So we go by calendars to get us to have a general date. But from one year, we might have to delay that because of freezing temperatures, or one year we could maybe speed that up. And so this is one year where we're looking at everything that we generally do, and we're having to make adjustments to try to get into the spring mode and do a lot of these openings sooner than we normally would. And so and that's just because of the weather. But at the same time, we have to constantly be looking at the weather to make sure that we're not going to get caught and have a cold front come in and where we got to go back and turn stuff off. So this really mild weather sort of trips us up a little, because we have to be very conscious and we have to manage it well. Because if we get too proactive because of what it feels like out there, we could end up doing damage to some of our infrastructure. So we really don't want to do that.
Right, that's why I know it's you, that's why I was believing it's usually close to May. That
Yeah.
in the April closer to May.
Mm-hmm. And we've kept plows on trucks all the way to April 15th in some years because they've been being utilized. So we're aware of this. We're looking at the 10-day forecast daily in our Bronx operations to be able to see what stuff we could do that we don't feel we're going to jeopardize any infrastructure or utility issues.
So then the next question is, we're very involved with the Playfair group for the whole campaign to get more money for parks. And it's a little confusing because is the situation that there is still a hiring freeze for normal staff jobs, even though you've got the go ahead to hire the seasonal workers? And for instance, we're planning to go testify at the March 21st City Council hearing. We wanted to schedule 2 major cleanups for Earth Day weekend. But, you know, at first it looked like, yes, you got the green light, this is great. But then we were told that because no overtime could be given, the outreach coordinator can only do 1 a weekend, because he can only work 1 weekend day, which is so frustrating and ironic, because here we have volunteers wanting to help clean up, but we're even restricted because of the budget restrictions in what the volunteers can do. We could only do 1 day of the weekend. So I'm definitely going to testify about that. And then our question about Zimmerman is the porta potty situation, as we'll be living with that for more years. Because it's really kind of inadequate. You know, they're not cleaned often enough. And I understand it's the porta potty company, not the Parks Department. But is there any way we can get something better, some better arrangement for that? So those are all my questions. Thanks.
I'll take the first one and I'll defer the porta potty one to Juan.
Okay.
As far as volunteer activity, I know you're probably talking about the Waring Ave area, Bronx Park Zone 2. You could discuss with the administrator, because it won't be me anymore for that.
Right.
With Anthony Martinez, how you want to navigate that. And yes, the reality is you're not going to have park staff like we have in the past to help you, but there's certain things that can be done, and we don't want to slow you down because we understand the value in volunteering. In fact, we're pushing volunteering through Let's Green New York City, right? An initiative that's come out of the mayor's office. So we don't want you to slow down or not do that, but there are ways to work with the Partnership for Parks personnel that's assigned to your parks, or work with the park manager or the park administrator. So most likely in your case, it would be Anthony Martinez, but I'm sure there's stuff that could be worked out with. If we do this during the regular time, we don't have to do overtime, and we could equip you for your volunteer. You won't have Flavio there or somebody else, but you could still do what you want to do. Mulch or wood chips might be able to be dropped off a few days earlier or something like that. So there's lots of scenarios to be able to manage around. And I don't want the overtime thing to stop people from volunteering.
Right.
And Juan could talk about the porta potties.
What organization you represent?
Oh, he knows.
He knows?
He knows.
Porta potty?
Yeah, I was there actually, and I noticed like, they didn't clean, often the company. So I called the company, call ahead, and I request, what happened. They told me supposed to be they cleaned every Tuesday and Friday.
That's
Right.
not happening.
It doesn't exactly. I'm agree with you. It's not happened. So I told them, I'm right here. Look like they ain't clean for a whole month. And people when they clean, they put the sign the last day they clean. And I took a picture the last time they were there supposed to be. It was January 20. So it was like 2 months ago. So,
Okay. Is
so I
there
want to
any,
double check. I'm going to visit the site to make sure they went. But according to them, they go every Tuesday and Friday. I don't believe on that.
okay, you know now that it's not happening. Can you get
Exactly.
another company? Can
Yes.
you're paying them and they're telling you they're coming, but we had a meeting in September and guess what? The staff that came from the boards didn't even want to stand outside of the porta potty, so it was horrendous. Is there any way you can get another company?
Let me see, what other company, Parks Department, they use it. So first I'm going to contact them again. First I'm going to check if they really clean.
Can you call them out on their BS? For lack of a better pun on this? Can you
Listen.
call them out on their BS that they're not cleaning the porta potties?
Of them.
So I going to visit the site, going to check they clean, and we
No,
take
no,
it
no,
from
no,
there.
That's not what I'm asking you. I am asking you if you could get rid of that company. Last summer was horrendous. They do not come when they say they're coming. And can you get another company?
Let me. Yeah, I'm agree with you. Let me check with my with my staff, with my superior. All right.
Who's your superior?
In this case, I have to check with with operations. I don't know, Parks Department. They decide what company they use it. I'm going to encourage them, and I'm going to tell them what's going on.
We don't want them because last summer, half the summer, the porta potties were not clean. Okay.
Okay.
So if you can speak to your superiors and they can get another company that's reliable and that's getting paid to do the job, you need to, because these guys are not doing what they need to do. Okay?
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
We gotta live with these porta potties again.
Yeah. All right, so being we don't have
Diane, what's the name of the company that has the running water that where they can take care of the since we have to deal with the porta potties, you were speaking about another porta potty companies that we could use
Right.
and recommend to the Parks Department.
Right. Yeah, Matt, we came across the article about those new, like, standalone, they're upgraded from porta potties, but it's not much more than just the bathroom itself. And they're kind of self-contained, but I think they're connected to plumbing. And they have them now in a few parks throughout the city. And they're like all aluminum or something inside and outside, and they're the kind where you can just clean the entire inside all at once.
Can you look into that?
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not entirely. I know there's
know
I could tell you all about issues with the purchasing process, but I don't want to do that. Why don't you, if you could get more information about what parks you've seen this,
Okay.
and we could start there. And if you even have maybe a company or a website that we could look at, then that's
I did it.
that's a starting place for us.
I did a quick Google search. It says Fordham Plaza has one. Brooklyn is the Flatbush Grand Army Plaza. I mean, I just kind of Google searched.
I don't-
The Bronx only has one listed. It's in Fordham Plaza.
Yeah, that's not Parks property.
But it is New York City. It is a New York City initiative. So
Yeah.
maybe if you can find out from them.
So, Juan will put his email address in the chat. And then if either you, Debbie, or Diana, email him, then he'll be able to follow this up.
Okay.
So may I do the announcement now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we have a great announcement. And Janice, this is for you. The Historic Districts Council every year chooses 6 to celebrate, an annual listing of historic New York City neighborhoods that merit preservation attention. And we were asked to submit something. We submitted the Allerton Coops, and they were chosen as one of the 6. And I'll just read the description. It's the 6 chosen from applications submitted by community organizations are selected on the basis of the architectural and historic merit of the area, the level of threat, the strength and willingness of local advocates, and potential for HDC's preservation support to be meaningful. Neighborhoods throughout New York are fighting an unseen struggle to determine their own futures. By bringing these locally driven neighborhood preservation efforts into the spotlight, HDC hopes to focus New Yorkers' attention on the very real threats that historic communities throughout the city are facing from indiscriminate and inappropriate development. As the first list of its kind in New York, the 6 to Celebrate helps raise awareness of local efforts to save neighborhoods on a citywide level. And it has just been announced on Facebook, and we'll be sharing it. I'll show you that. Just announced this afternoon.
Oh.
And of course, the Allerton Coops are right across the street from Bronx Park, and really share a lot with the park and draw some of their special quality from being right on the park.
True.
Okay.
Diane, there's somebody, check, can you check them? Can you check microwave, make sure? Somebody, can you check, please?
So we'll be working with Janice and with the HDC to figure out what more we can do with this grant and bring attention to the coops.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, being we don't have quorum, we can't make. Yeah, being we don't have quorum, we can't make any motions.
We don't have it. We want to do it.
I mean, we don't have a quorum, so we can't make any motions.
Agreed.
And can't make any motions. We've kind of already brought up new business and old business.
Yeah, I don't see why not. We,
Yeah, no, we're Janice. Janice, we are you about ready to adjourn? Or do you have anything? All right, so being we don't have quorum, we can't make any motions. You gotta skip that. So we've already discussed old business, we've already discussed new business. Unless,
We can make a motion.
Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna make
So,
we're gonna make a motion to adjourn then, because there's nothing else. Yeah. So, no. No, she's signing off.
Okay, all right. All right, gentlemen, thank you from the Parks Department, two of you that are here.
Thank you so much, Matt.
To the board.
yeah,
Thank
it's a
you,
great
Juan.
report.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so this meeting is adjourned at 8:03 PM. All right, thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.